Hey there, my friends, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Throwback Thursdays with Pastor Brad, Friday edition. Yeah, we decided to wait this week to do our video about looking back on kind of some of the things that we talked about on Sunday because we had something else important we wanted to connect in. So with that, I want to just take a few minutes and let you know that I am very, very, very excited to have this opportunity to share with you. And I don't want to overhype it, but from my context, from our context as a church family, it is really, really exciting. You see, we just spent a week celebrating what God has been doing in our church family, in our community for the last 4 decades. And it's been really incredible. We heard stories of impact and life change and things like that were going on. We had the opportunity to look at why it's important for what we do and what it would look like to move ahead into the next 40 years, the next generation of what it means to serve God, to serve Jesus here at Effort of Grace Church. I'm so excited. Now, I say that because the last 6 months or so have been tough, but there's been life and there's been hope and there's been good things that have happened even in the midst of all the craziness. So what I would like for us to think about here, thinking back to this celebration of 40 years, is the idea of celebrating what has happened should make us think of this question. What does it mean to leave a legacy? I'd suggest that if we look at what has happened over these past 4 decades, that God has accomplished great things both in Grace Church as well as through Grace Church. And like I said on Sunday, and if you haven't had an opportunity to connect in, please connect in. You can find this video on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and the channel there. We'll leave those links available for you to take a look. But take a look at that. Look at the celebration. Look at the stories. We had 4 different little interviews talking about some of what God has done and what we're excited about for the future. But one of the things we said is that God is not done with us yet. Because all of what we went on about, all that we celebrated, all that we said was important, wasn't in the end about us, but about Him, about God and what He's doing, about the life change He's creating in us and in our community, how He's drawing people to Himself, drawing people out of brokenness and hopelessness and despair back into right relationship with Him, back to a place where the created can worship the Creator. And it's exciting to look at that. We said that since He's done that for 40 years, we want to push ahead into the things that it takes to continue to leave a legacy that accords with that. And what I'd like us to do is to take a look here at just 2 verses in Philippians chapter 4. I want to read these verses. This is the Apostle Paul writing to a group of young Christians, of new Christians, a new church in kind of a crazy scenario where they were a huge minority and they were actually seen almost as a cult amongst all the other things that were going on. But here's what he writes. Here's what he says to them. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. He's saying there are good and right things that we should focus on. And that think is not just kind of intellectually ponder, but order your life around these things. Consider deeply, integrate these things into your life. But then he goes on and says this in verse 9. He says, what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Look at that. Learned, received, heard, seen. It's this whole, Paul had been pouring his life. He'd been putting his life on display. He'd been pushing hard into these good things. He says, then practice these things and the peace of God will be with you. See, that's what we want to be about as a church. We want to push hard into these good things. We want to push hard into what God has called us to. And we believe at Grace Church that He's called us to help people live Jesus-centered lives. He's called us to help people live Jesus-centered lives. And a big part of that is what we do when we gather together on Sundays. And now, because of everything that's been going on with COVID-19 and the various lockdowns and quarantines and all the mitigation processes and all that stuff, we have attempted to honor the civil authorities and as we're doing that, learn the best way that we can exist in this kind of COVID and post-COVID world that we're going to be in. And we have taken a break to get our facility ready for that. And what I want to say now is that we can continue to push into these things. We can continue to leave this legacy as we gather together again in the same place. I want to say welcome back, church family. This has been a decision that's been bathed in prayer. This has been a decision that's been discussed and refined. We've talked amongst ourselves as leaders and various ministry leaders throughout the church, the elders and other leaders. We've talked with experts in the field. We've leaned into other churches and other pastors, national leaders amongst our tribes of churches, all to the point where we say we've done everything we can that we believe to be a safe place that is deeply caring about people's well-being, while at the same time pushing into those things that God has called us to. And what we're saying is that starting now with Sundays in September, we are going to be back for in-person worship gatherings at our church Sundays at 10 a.m. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of that because I'm going to give you a little homework. I want you to go to our website. Many of you probably already have it saved if you're part of our church family in your browsers or whatnot. But if you need to, you can type this in, www.ephratahgrace.org. And when you go there, here's what you're going to see. Here is the website, and you can see we got that banner there. And if you look right here, here's a place where you can click and get kind of the full plan. And the short of it is it's going to be very similar to what we've done for the last 6 weeks with the smaller groups that we've brought in, but there's going to be just a few modifications and some next steps that we're looking into, particularly when it comes to kids ministries. So I invite you to go there. I invite you to click on that link, read that letter that we've put out as a church leadership, and also want you to know if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot us a message, leave us a comment, send an email. A lot of you've got my phone number or the church phone number. Feel free to call. We want to make sure that you have a full understanding. But one of the other things I think it's very important, wherever you're landing at in this, what we want you to know is there is grace and there is no judgment. Some of you are just chomping at the bit to every Sunday be back there in the building with us. And we're excited for that and going to be excited to see you. Some of you are hesitant. Some of you are feeling like it's not the right time for you, or maybe it's not the right time because of medical things or other concerns. That's okay too, because we're still going to be doing the live streaming. We're still going to be creating opportunities to connect. And we're also looking at further opportunities in the months ahead to create other small gathering points so that maybe the big group is a little too much right now. We'll have some smaller ones available as well. But I want you to know again, welcome back, Grace Church. I'm so excited. I'm giddy. I can't wait for this. And we know that there's going to be bumps along the way. We're probably going to have to do some course corrections. We're going to have to figure it out with some of the spacing and depending on how many people come and what we can do with all that. But again, read the document. That'll answer probably most of your questions. And I want you to know, we've been saying this now for months, that on Sunday, we're going to see you again real soon. Thanks, church.